did everybody, I guess I could bring those up too. Let me see, where is? Oh, not that. This. I know. All right. Oh, where is it? There's one of them. Where's the other one? All right, we'll go through this one first. I'll look for the other one in a minute. All right, parks. Let's see, did you have? Okay. So, didn't we set up a stabilization account for them last year?
We did, we set it up, actually 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
We did not, we funded it initially at 25,000
Mhm.
when we set up the account. Last year, I believe the committee, we had a similar request to this last year, and the committee wanted some more specifics as to what, what project that they were planning to do and what type of, build out or remodel of a park that they wanted to update, what equipment they wanted to update specifically before they funded another 25,000, is what I remember from last year.
okay. So what, do you know what's in the account now, and did we only fund it once?
We only funded it once, 25,000.
And they haven't used it, right, because they need an
No.
article to pull it out.
Correct. No, I mean, no, I think
Yes.
Well, it's capital
Yes.
stabilization.
Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the question is, do we want to bump it now to 50,000? Would be the,
Well, it says to update, expand, or improve parks equipment, but is there anything more specific than that?
this is it?
That's it.
So I guess that's what we're saying then, before,
So they don't have a project.
no. I think they're just trying to bank money, which is fine, but I guess if there's no goal in mind,
Yeah, it says it could be
Well, you
used for
wanna
any
stack
town
money,
park,
stack money,
so.
not use it somewhere else.
Right.
yeah.
25,000 is a big ask.
Yeah,
If
You
they
know,
had something
and I don't know if
specific
they-
too, we
yeah.
could,
Yeah.
quantify it that way by saying what is it they want to do and what's the cost for a particular project,
yeah.
25,000?
so.
You're looking for, okay.
Okay, so can we say our
I saw
consensus
it
is,
listed.
unless they can come up with something specific?
And that's how I feel. I don't know
Okay.
what the rest of.
We don't have to settle on anything now, but I
Would
guess we'll get a
this-
general thought
So
right now,
would this
right?
be impacted by the revitalization of the parks through the CDBG?
Yes, what are we working on? Cutter Park, right?
Design, I think we've got
Yeah.
some design money from the use of CDBG.
Yeah.
Will that include structures and
Mhm.
such, though? It does.
Yeah, I mean, we were
Oh, okay.
thinking about like a splash park and, you know, like a
That would be
general,
replacing equipment, playground equipment and everything else.
yeah,
So,
except for that turning thing. We're gonna
right,
keep-
we keep that, that's antique.
It's on the historical
But
register.
that would kind of offset this request.
Yeah,
I think if you're gonna keep these parks open, they need to assess the safety and condition of what's there.
Yeah, but
And-
the new CDBG, yeah, I can say that.
CDBG
Yeah, is gonna encompass the whole park.
Oh, I see.
for Cutter Park.
For
Yeah.
color.
Well, what about the other parks, though? They're-
Well, Dean Park is relatively, you know,
It's in pretty good shape.
new,
it
like in the
seems.
past decade, right? What else is there?
Is there any,
They have little parks. Those are the two big ones with equipment on them, though.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
They
none
don't talk
of the
about
others have
downtown
any.
with the gazebo either.
Well, see, and that's going through a redesign anyway, so,
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, I guess maybe ask for more detail.
Yeah.
That makes
Like-
sense.
Yeah,
Like, see if there's a
says-
specific project, I know it says it could be used for any town park, but do they have a plan and a project?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do that.
Because, I mean, without a plan or a project,
Yeah, it's too much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's good. All right, go on to police. All right, so he needs a cruiser, and he got a quote. So useful life, 3 years. He's got excellent handwriting. Okay, so the current one is 3 years old, 100,000 miles, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's got
that's
mechanical
86,000. Is
It's got
that,
86,000 miles on it right now.
oh, where does it say that?
it says this will depend on mileage at trade-in, currently the vehicle has 86,000.
On the email.
issues. Number four.
Oh, in the email, oh, okay.
No, wait, that's 86,000.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
This is the 2021 cruiser.
So I was going through the, request forms from last year, and it looks like this is replacing one of the request forms for last year, because he submitted, I believe it was 5 vehicle requests, one for each year. So last year,
Okay.
he assumed that the cost would be 55 to 60,000, and this year the cost is 65 to
Yeah,
70,000,
surprise, surprise.
And
which isn't,
what I would also say to that is that this cruiser is costing a little bit more than the other cruisers because this is a hybrid. And the reason why,
Oh, that's another question I have.
another reason why that we would want to do a hybrid for a hybrid is that the current vehicle that's looking to be replaced is a hybrid. And if we're gonna continue on the path of green communities and applying for grants, they're gonna wanna see us replace
Oh.
hybrid for hybrid.
Okay, that-
Like,
Okay, so that's what I was asking, because they had, so maybe it wasn't this car.
Typically, a
but
cruiser
the-
doesn't cost this much.
Yeah, but the hybrid before this one, or maybe it's this one, had a lot of problems.
It's this one that has a charging problem.
Yeah, it's this one that he said they've had a lot of mechanical problems with it.
Yeah.
So I was wondering why it wasn't just gonna go back to gas. But if it helps us with grants, then let's do it.
do we know the year on the cruiser?
21.
21.
This is the 2021,
Yep.
Does
Okay.
it say that specifically?
because it should have a useful life of 5 years. I know he put 3 years, but for a capital project, it's 5 years, and you can probably stretch a vehicle to 5 years.
Yeah, that, and we had decided last year to just simply put up the 5 cruisers on a 5-year cycle, one a year.
But it would just be an article then, it's not going to go through capital planning then, right? If it's a 3-year life cycle, then it doesn't really,
Okay, time out. We're talking different things here. So are we, okay, if cruisers need to be on a 3-year cycle, then we're gonna reject the request. Cruisers.
Yeah, or just say it's not applicable.
I guess what I'm saying is, as a town, we can't afford to have a 3-year cycle for cruisers. I'll just be a no vote on that, straight out.
okay.
I'm not gonna accept a 3-year cycle for cruisers. We can't afford it. So where do we go with this discussion then? Last year, we had decided, I'm looking at last year's, the capital plan.
Yeah,
We had planned out for $60,000 a year, every year, for a new cruiser. And so, to me, the request for 65 to 70,000 fits within that close enough.
yeah,
And so I would certainly be supportive of, based on last year's considerations and the request for this year, and the discussion that the cruiser apparently sounds like it needs to be replaced, to give that on our prioritization list, I'd be happy to give it an A priority.
okay, all right.
Contingent on, if everything ends up being an A priority, to reassess that.
Right.
But, yeah, this, I apologize, I don't have that right in front of me there, but where's he talking about a 3-year cycle? Useful life, 3 years?
Yeah.
No,
Right.
we just, My input to the committee is that we cannot afford 3-year cycles for cruisers. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, so our schedule up there is more than a 3-year cycle, is what, essentially what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, all right.
does that make sense? That a cruiser a year.
We're gonna do one every year, but they're gonna be more than 3 years old when we're doing them. Is essentially what
Here's what
happens,
I have-
because we got
I-
6, or,
Okay.
well, 5.
Okay, the first 3, based on last year, we have a 2021, a 22, a 23. We also have an unmarked vehicle and an unmarked chief vehicle. I don't know the years on those vehicles, the unmarked and the chief.
Yeah.
But the way we ranked them was replace the 21 in fiscal year 26, here we are, the 22 in 27, the 23 in 28, the unmarked in 29, and the chief in,
30.
well,
Yeah, okay.
we put greater than 29, so sometime in the future.
And then start the cycle all over again.
It sounds like that works for just a base consideration. Now, if someone wants to make the argument that, I'm sorry, Ray, despite your desire not to spend the money, we need 3-year cycles on our cruisers, then we'd bring him in and have him make the argument.
Yeah, okay.
But
Well, at least this year it works.
it absolutely works. It
So-
works for the next 3 years, as far as I'm concerned. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, 60,000 will probably become 65, 70, but
Yeah, it's, you know,
that's the nature of the beast, yeah.
but if we're only buying one a year,
We planned it out last
Yeah.
year to be that way, not that we can make 5-year plans and commit to them, but that was our intention last year.
yeah.
Jim, do you know if all of the police vehicles are hybrids?
No.
They're not.
Just the
I
one.
think it's just that one.
Oh, okay.
Is there any pressure, desire to convert the whole fleet, or
That's what the state would like you to see
that's
you
what,
do.
I thought you were gonna say that, okay.
You know, obviously, since we don't have many, you know,
The impact.
we'd be hard pressed
Yeah,
to continue to, you know, make the case that the town should be getting these green community distinctions and awards and grants, you know, if we're not gonna replace hybrids with hybrids.
yeah. So, I mean, the other question is, what, these are driven a lot, so maybe would they
They're-
actually save on gas and?
Yeah, I mean, the chief
Right?
said that, you know, by far, this one has saved money on gas.
Okay. Makes sense, right? It's primarily an electric vehicle with a gas backup,
Yeah,
so,
you're paying probably, you know, $5,000 more for the
Mhm.
vehicle, because of the hybrid motor. But you're probably saving, you know, $2,000, $2,500 in gas.
Mhm.
It said, you know, the mechanical issues, I mean, is that the minor things or the expensive repairs?
Well,
You
it
know?
says right here that the mechanical issues are with the hybrid system.
Yeah, my question, I guess, is, in weigh that, how much is it costing to repair these things?
Right,
If
and
there's a-
on
yeah.
a split system like that, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be an expensive.
And was it also under warranty?
I think the majority of it was covered under some form of warranty with the
So-
hybrid.
So more like the
Okay.
inconvenience
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the
It
things
was the
always.
Not out of
Yes,
pocket
yeah.
costs for the town.
Fix it again, Tony.
Yeah.
Sorry if anybody owns a Fiat.
Yeah, I heard.
Okay. All right, so we good with that? We'll do a cruiser.
Rich, can you do me a favor? Can you just enlarge that? I cannot read that at all. I'm sorry.
What's that?
That's better.
Okay.
Thank you. I can't pull anything up.
I still can't read it.
Okay.
Oh, I can go one more maybe.
I'm in, but I can't access my files, so I'll have to talk to IT.
Yeah.
Because I updated the spreadsheet and I was gonna pull it up, but
Oh, okay. Well,
I didn't realize I couldn't access them.
okay, so what do we have next here? We have fire. So we've got engine number 2, extrication,
So,
turnout,
I mean,
and
on the
ambulance.
police, are we okay with that? Is that a,
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, I would give that an A priority.
Yeah, I think the consensus was we're good with it.
For what?
Well-
Police,
Rich,
New
if I
police
can make a
vehicle?
proposal, just do a quick poll and let everyone make a vote,
Sure.
A, B, or C.
You're
Everyone's-
still on police now, right?
yeah, we'll go back to
Yeah.
police for a second. Okay. How many
So-
people vote A? I'll give it an A. How many people vote B?
Okay.
C? Oh, well, we're all, are you voting?
No, I'm not.
He's-
Or whatever, ex officio.
So
Okay.
3 A's and 2 B's?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay, just,
So-
it's a first pass, everyone can
Yeah, no,
shake.
that's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. That's helpful for me too.
All right, so fire. He kind of repeated the same stuff here,
Yeah,
but
this
that's
is
fine.
basically the same as last year.
So how did we sock away some money?
Okay,
Oh,
which one,
okay.
on,
Engine two.
the engine
Engine
2, or
two.
is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
Engine 2, we had budgeted, or we had proposed, going forward, 200,000 a year for the next 4 years.
Okay.
We had started with 50,000 last year, if I'm looking at my spreadsheet correctly. Fiscal year '25, we put 50,000 away. Is that what you're seeing, Jim?
Yep.
And we had anticipated considering 200,000 each year for the next 4 fiscal years, starting this year in '26. So that's in line with where our thinking was last year. The question is, how do we feel about it this year? Which if I could propose this, without considering how the town's doing in any other regards, what do we just initially think that this is a valid, is it an A request, a B request, or a C request? Then we can double back, look at how the town's doing, because maybe we'll say, no, this year, the best we could do is 100,000 instead of 200,000 like we were thinking last year.
Yeah.
So,
Personally, I think we should continue to fund, even if we put 50 in, I don't know, we should put some money in. But maybe we won't be able to do the 200,
right.
but, yeah.
So we certainly, I totally agree with that sentiment. It's not a bad request, and really the question comes down to how quickly we feel the town could proceed with it. I'll just make a general comment about these high-ticket items, ambulances and fire engines and all that. I totally appreciate Adam is advocating for the department, and he does a great job. But some of his requests are, he wants state-of-the-art, so to speak, or he wants the current standards, which as a town, we probably can't afford, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, for example, it's a little easier to talk about the ambulance. I totally get it. The standard is every 7 years on an ambulance. But that turns out to be $60,000 a year. Even if we push it out 1 year to an 8-year cycle, that's a 15% savings right there.
Yeah.
And so, without hearing that the ambulance, no, the 5-year-old ambulance is, you're seeing 5 years on its build date, but it's 15 years old in reality, right? I might
What do you mean?
I might be 50 years old, but I feel like I'm 90. That
Yeah,
kind of a,
right.
that kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
and it's a highly used vehicle.
Yeah, the
And
ambulance.
it's
for sure.
driven not like a normal vehicle is.
Right,
Right.
It's a
yeah.
hard-driven vehicle.
right.
Yeah, they're doubling their call volume just
Yeah.
a
Right.
year or two. They had 6 calls, and actually 9 calls just yesterday.
Yeah, and you don't sit there and
And
warm
that-
up the ambulance before you take off. It's just jump in and go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then the other, I don't know if it's factored in, is to buy an ambulance now, the lead time's 3 years. If you put an order in now,
Yeah,
it'll take 3 years to get it delivered, according to Adam, in conversation with Adam.
And that's
Okay.
so with anything, I mean, we order trucks
So,
from my company. and
That's
the same
another
thing.
factor.
Right.
Adam, so
Hmm.
you say, what's gonna happen to this ambulance in 3 years from now? Where is it mileage-wise and condition-wise?
right.
So,
All right, well, so let's look at then,
We were on engine two, and so I was just making a
Right.
comparison. And all I'm saying is that, so if an engine's useful life is 25 years, can we get 28 years out of it, 27 years out of it, maybe 30, depending on how much use it's seeing? And again, I know it can be a catch-22, it's like the hoses, right?
yeah,
The hoses, we don't really have a choice. They are the gear, equipment gear.
yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're in
10
great
years, right?
condition.
Yeah. I
After
know.
10 years, they can't legally be used.
Yeah,
And so it's kind of like that one becomes much easier. You've lost the opportunity for a subjective judgment to be
Right,
made about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
An ambulance, I think, is a little bit different. Has it really been beaten up that badly? I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying no. I'm simply
Yeah.
saying, I think that's the kind of thing where, yeah, and so a 25-year engine, what shape is it in?
well, the
It's-
utility, that's a utility type truck, and whenever there's an accident, that truck rolls.
Rolls, yep.
Automatically, and,
Right.
you know, plus your brush fires, structure fires, but any kind of an accident,
Yep,
that's the truck that's out of the
right.
station right away, so, and I don't know what shape it's in, Adam would certainly know, but, I think you have to take a look at the condition of it and what
Right.
Well, I
to
think when you
expect.
read through this, there's also the implication that if and when they do get the new unit, they want to use this as a reserve unit.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's telling
yeah.
you there's still life left in it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right. So I'm totally in favor of putting something away. The only question is, so to me, it's an A priority. The question is the funding level of it.
Yeah,
And last year, we had put 200,000. I'm happy to start with that and then see what the totals come out to be. And if we have to pull it down a little bit, then we do. Or if our totals aren't that high, and maybe this year we could put 300,000 towards it.
So I have a question, just because I don't know anything about this at this point, but if you don't use that money, can you apply it for other usage? If you end up putting this money away for this project, and all of a sudden, there's, for some reason, no need for it, can you use that money for other things?
So it would have to
So-
be, if we dedicated an article in an account for this, we would have to bring it back to town meeting and repurpose the account, and it'd have to be voted on.
Yeah,
so yes, you can,
So you can.
just
Yeah.
take, it's the what
but
procedure
it's
you
the
have to do.
procedure, process,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
but it's a
the
known
process.
procedure,
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay, so,
So,
What the town gives, the town can take away.
we
Yes,
only
I would
gave
guess that,
50
yeah.
last time.
50, right.
To start,
Yeah.
we wanted to start the account.
Oh, is that how it was? Okay.
Because the original request was 850, and we knew we couldn't do 200 last year, so we just started it with 50 just to get the token in there. It's like funding the OPEB account,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
okay, so if we did, say we did 100, then we'd have to bump these values out to account. So you're gonna add, like, I don't know how you're gonna do the sheet, right? You're gonna modify the sheet?
I am. I already modified it to put all the brand-new projects on there.
Okay,
And I updated 25 for what we actually appropriated at the town meeting. So that's all been done. Like I said, I was hoping to pull it up, but I can't access my
right.
files.
So anytime we reduce amount in this row, we have to add a future amount to make up. So if we subtract 100,000 in here,
Mm-hmm.
then we gotta tack it at the end, or we gotta change one of them to 300,000, or,
Right,
you know.
or we spread it between the
Yeah.
next 3 years, yeah.
Plus, we should probably, the 850. in
It's
3
probably gonna
years-
be,
Yeah, it may be 950, so
Right.
we gotta be aware of inflation
right,
and adjust this accordingly.
which I'm hoping when Adam gives us updated information every year,
Yeah,
This
as
is-
it gets closer, he'll have more appropriate numbers.
yeah, okay.
So, Mr. Chair, could we poll for engine two? And again, without getting caught in the actual numbers, just the veracity of the request.
Yeah. Okay, how many, so this is, right, so this is not a number, but how important is this
To fund,
to fund?
at least a
So,
little.
how many As are there?
I'll give it an
I'll give it an
Over there.
A. All right.
Okay.
So we're good.
A, so, fire engine two is an
Hydraulic extraction equipment, looks like we were just gonna pay for it in, oh, it's now 50 grand. Oh, did he say that it went down? One of these things said it was cheaper than what he thought.
Which one is that?
A. It was
Okay.
original,
Hydraulic?
He's,
based on last year's numbers, we had put in the spreadsheet 65,000.
65.
Yep.
But now he's saying 50 on his request. So that's good.
Yeah.
So I get, how about this, is then, well, we have to do this, and we plan to do it this fiscal year, so does anyone dissent from that? Can we all agree that we should,
I'll agree to giving it an A. I don't want to commit to doing it until we get through everything.
yeah, okay, all right, got it, okay.
Could I request you poll?
Sure, how many As?
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said we have to do this?
Well, because it's got a 10-year lifespan. So whether we do it, whether we put in a little bit this year and some next year, at some point, we absolutely have to do
It
it.
has a 10-year expiration?
Yeah.
So-
Oh, no,
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
see that in here.
No, that's the turnout gear.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Sorry.
yeah, because I didn't think that there was an expiration on this.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
I
this-
understand the need, yes, but.
Yeah. Okay, so this is on a wish list as opposed to a need list,
Yeah,
right?
because this is, they're replacing existing equipment.
Right.
along with
Yes.
the hi-
Yeah, that,
Sorry, I was.
thank you, I'm
thinking
glad we had the further conversation, because I'm gonna change my A to a B.
Yeah, I would go with, okay, so how many As? This is the extrication equipment, changing from like a gas
To electric.
diesel thing to hydraulic to electric. How many As? Any As? Any Bs? I'll give it a B. Okay. All right. And then maybe we could divide that over 2 years then. It did go down. Okay, turnout gear. Is that the next? Yeah,
I believe
okay.
we funded 40,000 last year, right?
We did. So we planned on 40, 40, 40.
Yep.
So this would be the second payment this year. Previously, we give it a B. When does this expire? Oh, in 29.
I
2019, right?
I have,
2029.
my notes from last year says it needs to be ordered in 2027.
Yeah, it takes
Okay,
a while.
same
That's
thing,
why we're
lead
trying to
time.
fund it by in 27, yeah. So it takes 12 to 18 months for order, is my notes from last year.
Okay, so here's an interesting thing. Could we go ahead and order it in 27 and then still be funding it up through 29? Like, when do we pay the bill, actually?
I don't
Or how
know.
does that work?
It'll
I
be
don't know.
completely funded in 27 if you keep on this path.
Yeah, but financially, say we wanna spread it out for 2 more years into
Oh,
29.
you not
I-
funded at 40 apiece? you
I
mean?
don't think that we
Maybe-
can
Maybe go,
purchase it without funding in place.
oh, you can't.
I don't believe that we
Okay.
can put any purchase orders
Okay,
for
'cause
anything
then if
without
the-
funding in
and then if
place.
the town said no.
Right.
then we'd
Right.
be in a
Yeah.
bind.
Right.
Okay, all right, that's, answers the question.
I have an additional question, just confirm, we did do 40,000 last year?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
We had all agreed on 40,000 over the next 3 years. That's
Right.
what we discussed on my notes.
So 25, we did do the 40.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's not too bad a number. Okay, so are we, so turnout gear, how many As are there? How many Bs?
I put it as a B because it's not a priority for this year, but I agree that we need to fund it this year, but it's not a priority project for this year.
Yeah,
That's why I put it on as a
understand.
B priority, because we're not going to fully fund the entire project. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
But I agree
guess
that we should
feel
put
it's
Well,
a-
you would be agreeable to funding the 40?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I feel,
So,
and for me, an A is, we don't wanna put a zero in that cell.
Yeah.
Right. If I could, just a reminder, and, because Jim wasn't part of the process last year, so if my recollection of this is that we rank things on a ABC scale for priority, but then we do a second level of numerical value. So some things can be an A10, and some things might be an A3. And so it, to call something an A doesn't mean it will necessarily
Stay that way.
be funded.
Sure,
It's just a way to put the value to it.
okay.
And so, for example, if it came down to, let's just take two random things, this gear versus equipment for the parks, and we only had X dollars to put in it, and now so we have to make a choice. We could split the X between those two projects, but the priority would help us
Sure,
do that split,
okay.
and put a little bit more dollars towards the actual project.
So I have a question about the turnout gear too. It is a question where they say, are there grant monies available? Yes or no? If there was, would Adam have already researched that?
Yeah, he's
We
pretty
can
good
assume
at that,
that,
so
yeah.
I would think so, yeah.
Okay,
So Jim, just so you know, we have this matrix that we'll end up filling out again. So along, you've got 5 factors:
Yeah.
mandates, project funding, needs, risks, service to the public, and economic growth.
For the gear.
And so we have a form, like a weight for each of those, and then it comes down to a formula, and then an ABC.
can I get a copy?
Yeah, yeah, Don will send out.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean,
'Cause
I could send you last year's if you
Yeah,
just wanna
sure,
look
It's
at
on
it.
the
helpful.
website, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it is, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
So,
so we'll have to go through and
Redo.
read, well, I left in everything that was there last year, but yeah, we'll have to redo all the projects and
Yeah.
decide.
Well, like the hose and appliances, we can get rid of.
Yeah, I've already filtered all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yep, if it's done, it's filtered out.
Okay, yeah, okay, excellent,
This
all
was
right.
But yes, I'll bring it to next meeting,
Okay.
and I'll probably forward it out to you guys,
Yeah,
so
that'd be
everybody
great.
can see it.
Yeah, mine looks good.
Okay,
I think you guys
ambulance,
got it.
wait, are we good with, turnout?
Did you take a poll?
We did do a poll, we got 4 A's,
Four and one
1
B.
B, right?
Yep.
So then we have ambulance replacement. We were gonna commit a third, for this year and the next 2 years. What do we have for that?
133,000?
Yep.
So the price hasn't changed.
I have notes from last year, it says,
So the ambulance is due for replacement in 2029. So it's probably the same thing. We're factoring that we need to order it 3 years ahead.
this says for ordering 2029, it says start funding 25 through 28 for ordering 2029. Those are my notes from last year.
Oh, maybe we should confirm that with him, because we can spread this
Yeah.
out a little bit. then.
Ordering
Wait,
2029.
If we order in 29, it would need to be funded through 28.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is correct then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This last year, it ended up as a C.
And how much did we fund it last year?
Nothing.
Oh, we didn't fund it at
We
all.
pushed it out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, well, how many A's?
I'm an A.
Yeah, I would give it.
Despite my earlier comments, I wasn't negative, I was just saying,
Yeah. yeah,
can we
just
stretch
to
it, you know?
look at-
That's-
Right,
yeah.
look at, yeah.
But I'm an A.
Okay, so we have 3 A's.
Yeah.
How many B's? 2 B's.
Okay. so-
All right. Again, personally, I think something should go in that cell, even if it's 50 grand. something
Okay,
should
so
go.
just because you're an A doesn't necessarily mean you would vote for 133,000. You
Right.
may vote for 100 or
Ye-
75 or 50.
I think we're gonna have to look at the
Yeah.
whole plan once
Yeah.
we're done.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, so far, there's kind of been no changes in a way, but,
Okay.
all right, so that takes care of fire. Let me see if I can find. Capital plan request.
We should have some from Highway,
Council on Aging.
Council on Aging,
Highway, it looks like you're just putting articles on.
Sewer.
I didn't, for the highway one, I didn't see any capital planning request. This is what I got from highway,
Yeah, that's.
and it
those-
says 26 articles, so it looks like he's putting articles on.
Those are articles, but you know, of the two of them, of the articles are, you know, I think are related to capital, you know, capital projects. I don't know if the committee wants to review those or not. One's a purchase of a dump truck for $165,000, and the other is, to get a street sweeper, used street sweeper, which I think was an article, was a project that was considered last year, for $100,000, so. And then the others are articles that are separate from this. So he didn't use the formatted sheet that is provided to departments.
I thought that last year the discussion was, if they don't come in with a sheet with the information, then we're turning it back. Am I wrong on that?
No, I remember that discussion as well. And just for the record, I think any department that doesn't supply the basic information that is being requested of them so we can do our job should simply be ignored. I don't mean to be harsh, but it's a simple thing. And having said that, I think we can still discuss I guess I have a question. Are we entertaining putting these on as articles?
So I'm seeking direction from the board, how you would like to handle this. So there's three, and then there's an email here talking about which I believe I provided to you, talking about a gas and diesel fuel pump installation project at the highway garage. So there's three potential projects. I would classify all three as capital improvement projects. I don't know what the board's purview or recommendation would be.
I mean, I'm of the same, if he wants to have us seriously consider this, then it needs to go on our form that we requested from every other department, which
I mean,
they've
we should have the
submitted to us.
information available to us to look at.
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I agree.
So if you want, I can relay the message and tell him to put it on the form and get it to us ASAP for the next meeting.
quotes attached, if he has quotes, I mean, it sounds like he has his numbers figured out, so if they have if he has
Quotes,
quotes, that'd be,
Supporting
yeah,
documentation.
Yeah.
that'd be helpful so that we
on
can
that,
actually review it
yeah.
appropriately.
Yeah,
On the fuel depot, would that be accessible to other town departments?
Yeah, so that would, I think it would be accessible to, like, you know, police and fire and,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, he's talked about this for a few years now.
Yeah.
I thought it was just exceedingly expensive to do, so I was kind of surprised it even showed
Yeah,
up.
yeah, I mean, I thought it would be expensive to do too, but
There's not even a number on it.
I think he was working on the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, he mentioned something around 20,000, but I just can't imagine it be that, you know, that cheap.
I think he's talking about using his own resources.
Yeah, some of
A
his
good part of it.
in-house labor, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talent in that department for welding and doing things correctly too.
Mhm.
I think that's where
But
he's
are they
coming
gonna
from.
put above-ground tanks or in-ground tanks?
I think they'd be in-ground.
I think he's talking above. I
Oh,
could be
really?
wrong, make him wrong.
Which would be
I didn't get
helpful if we
coffee.
had the
I
information.
don't think it
so we're not
says though, I
speculating
mean,
on what he
we need
wants
to
to
know
do.
these things.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking above for some reason,
Maybe.
but he
Because
should
if
be
it's an
filling
in-ground
out the-
tank system, you're gonna involve the EPA, because they're gonna have to give you permits and everything else to do it.
Yeah.
21E study on it, what's in
More
the ground
expensive.
now, as opposed to,
Oh, yeah, if you go
All that has to
underground,
be
yeah,
done.
that's why I'm thinking it's above ground,
What do they
So-
have now?
above ground,
Above ground?
yeah.
Oh, maybe it's them above ground.
So, but I think you're right, he needs to fill out the form properly.
Just so we
and
know
give
what
us the
we're
detail-
talking about.
Give us the
'cause I-
information, so,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't make an informed decision
Yeah.
based on the information that's provided here.
So I'll make a recommendation that we just pass on highway right now.
Yeah, pass it back to highway. You need
Okay,
more
and then
info?
do you want me to have him, because I know we're pressing up against the budget deadline and getting everything passed, and I think last year we had, these articles, not only did capital planning, make their recommendation on them, but I think the FinCom also made recommendations on them as well. So they'll need time to do their review. How, what type of time frame should I, let Jeremy know that you guys want this stuff back?
Next meeting.
Okay.
And do we want to have him in?
I would bring them in.
Yeah, so ask him if he can attend
Okay.
the next meeting.
All right.
When we figure that out. With, with the forms, what he really wants,
Okay.
and, data quotes, whatever other information he can give us.
Oh. Very good. I'll let him know.
All right, what's next? I can't seem to find that email on my system, which isn't surprising.
Council on Aging?
Oh,
So
right.
it should have been an email on March 13th. That helps you. At 5:12 PM.
Is that an email, Jim, or was there attachments to?
Yeah, there was attachments to
Yeah,
that
I got the
email.
email, but
Yeah.
I didn't get any attachments.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did.
I see it. I'm looking for capital planning, it says capital requests. I knew I was doing something stupid. Okay, senior center?
Yeah, that's next.
It looks
Oh, yeah, sewer pipe.
Yeah, I got the email, there were no attachments on it.
Oh, but this was her, so she's got sewer pipe. This was the way she did this was weird. And then she had
the parking lot.
Paving the parking lot.
fence, and so
There-
fence
there-
is number one.
Yeah.
Where was the parking lot? Did I skip that?
It got combined a little bit with the sewer pipe.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's
She did
item-
break them out as well, but
It's item number 3, I think, on her
Yeah.
second page. Cost for the sewer pipe,
Oh, I
and then
see.
she's got another price for the parking lot
Right.
combined.
Well, they're gonna rip up the parking lot probably to do the sewer pipe, so.
Yeah, that was my question is,
Could,
does the sewer
We're doing the-
pipe
we're
of
doing the
45,000
parking lot over
include
there too, aren't we?
the repair over it, like the pavement repair over the sewer pipe?
Maybe just that section, yeah.
Yeah, they'd cut
Like
a
a
trench
patch.
and repatch
Yeah,
it.
It wouldn't cover the entire parking lot.
Right, that's the one with the 219.9
Yeah,
for
but isn't there
both.
gonna be a parking lot study done over there too, for a repair?
That's in Millbury.
Millbury.
Oh, I thought that was here.
No,
No.
Millbury.
The joint grant,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was Millbury's senior center.
What if we just reword that, so it says.
Change it down.
There's a typo in the grant
Oh,
contract.
darn. We'll get you next year. Well, I don't know, I would say minimally, we wanna fund the sewer pipe probably. I wouldn't do the parking lot before the sewer pipe,
no.
right?
No,
So,
Right.
if we wanted to do the sewer for this year and then maybe put some away for the parking lot and do that next year, something like that, I don't know.
Well, it's only gonna get worse, that's for sure, because they do have some valid complaints about
Yeah.
the condition. So that doesn't mean we should do it right away, but it's definitely something that needs to be addressed,
Yeah, I mean,
for
in the
sure.
next
It's only gonna get worse.
short future, right? Yeah, I agree.
So I will say that there, to my knowledge, I don't know of a document or a study or anything that has clearly identified what the problem is, and how to fix that problem
With the sewer?
with the sewer pipe.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, I understand that there, you know, I think Sharon has talked to some contractors and, you know, contractors has indicated to her that, you know, there's a pipe that's not aligned, that's kind of, not, in line with the regular sewer pipe, and it's, causing an intrusion and it's causing a backup, but, that is somebody's opinion. I don't think that there was an actual
Inspection.
professional engineer study.
Yeah, I know a little bit from my prior work. It plugs up about once a year,
Mhm.
and I know some people put things in the toilet that they shouldn't.
Mm.
And so they have a plumber come and he snakes it out. Now, I know that 2 years ago, he put a camera down through the pipe and he saw where the blockage was as it drops into the bigger pipe. And he unplugs it, and it works fine, and maybe a year later, historically, they've had to have a plumber come for like less than $500 or whatever, small amount, I think it says that in their information, to alleviate the problem. Now, apparently, the same person that has sent the camera down through the pipe has said that there are some pipes left over from the old hotel that somehow are contributing to the problem. That, I don't know how it's contributing, but it seems, let's put it this way. He's unplugging a plugged up pipe once a year, and it's costing a lot less than $45,000.
Mm.
And I think part of the problem is what people are flushing down the toilets. Whenever you have a public place like that, you're gonna have people flushing the wrong things down the toilets. So I don't wanna minimize the problem, but from what I see, if it were a major problem, it would be plugging up all the time, and it's only happening once, on average, maybe once a year, from what my experience has been. And so the only person that has actually offered any technical information is the guy that's getting paid to do that, and not someone that's
Not an engineer.
correct, yeah. So I think it ought to be looked at again, and that's my opinion anyway, because that's $45,000 to basically dig a trench and put a pipe in, and that's really not that complicated.
Mm.
You got you cut it through the pavement, you get a backhoe, you dig the trench, you find the pipe, you take the pipe out and put a new one in. Even that, $45,000, and you have to compact the gravel underneath it so it doesn't drop or shift.
Yeah.
But it seems like a very expensive project, and it's not that big a distance either from where it's coming out of the building to where it goes into the sewer line. So I don't know if it warrants having an engineer look at it, but,
Well, so Bill Storty looked at it,
Yeah.
but is this the parking lot, or is this?
There is just the sewer replacement, there was part of that as from Weston Simpson as well.
So
Oh, right here.
Bill Storty just provided an estimated quote.
Yeah,
There was no analysis done by him as
Sure.
to if that's the cause or if that would fix the problem.
I think Bill's Storty got the information from Sharon.
Sharon, right.
From the plumber,
Correct.
yeah.
So who would we have take a look at that?
So you would want an engineering firm like a Weston and Sampson or Italian Bond or somebody to that nature to, come out and really scope out the problem and find out what the best form of corrective measure is. And I think Jim's 100% correct with the fact that, people have been putting things down the toilet that, are not supposed to go down there. And it's caused a plug up, and there may be some other pipes there from another structure that was there a while ago that are intruding on the current pipe, and there was talk about maybe one pipe is not synced with the other pipe, and it's causing a backup.
Yeah.
So, but this is all information that we've gotten from plumbers, really not anything from an engineer.
As far as I know, but I wonder what it would cost to have an engineer look at it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the next thing, is
Yeah.
what, so maybe Sharon should ask Bill to give her a quote for engineering.
Mhm.
And she could check with Weston and Sampson too.
Sure, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tie and bond.
tie and bond, yeah.
A related question, but not directly, wasn't the sewer department supposed to do some water line camera studies? Or was that the levy?
That was the levy.
And so that would have been contracted out, not that we would acquire, the town wouldn't acquire a camera, it would be contracted out?
Right, we had it contracted out.
Okay,
So.
We do have a camera though.
okay,
Sewer department has a camera. They
okay.
got a grant for it like 3 years ago.
Yep.
So
COVID
maybe,
money or CARES
So I
Act.
wonder if-
so again,
Maya.
it wouldn't be an engineering study, but it could be a preliminary amateur study to see if an engineering study is actually warranted.
Yeah,
Cause,
Yeah.
'cause maybe they'd find a Barbie doll down there that they can pull
Well,
out.
that's, yeah, you know, say that, but
I did have the
That
sewer
gap.
department go down there with that camera that we got from Maya.
Yeah.
The camera, our camera only goes like 300 feet, and they couldn't find any blockages. But they only were able to look from the road in, you know, they weren't able to see, like, from inside the building going out to the parking lot area.
now why is that? Cause there should be a clean out in the pipe, right?
I don't know where it is, I think it's more closer towards the road.
yeah, that's the impression, when I was there, they
clog.
had to do it, it was as it goes into the main
Main
line.
system. Yeah, right, right.
Yeah, on the way off the property, so.
Oh, that's interesting.
And did sewers see any misaligned pipes? I know if,
Yeah.
if the pipe from the building was this, and here's it could be that coming from this way, you wouldn't really see the variation, however it's displaced.
Yeah, they didn't,
It's-
they didn't see anything,
So-
any intrusions or any, you know,
Yeah,
anything odd there.
I don't wanna get lost on this, because I think it's all gonna end up C. I think the priority's gonna be C on this, but I was over there today to check out what I could about the fence and the parking lot and stuff, and I talked to Sharon about it. And it sounds like you can get, she says, what I got from Sharon was that they can't snake it out because it's too far down, so they have to jet it out. So whatever that detail is, they jet it out. But when they do that, then there ends up being some kind of a backwash into the cellar that has to be cleaned up. So it sounds like there is an access way from the cellar, and that's where they're jetting it out from.
Okay.
So it sounds like all this just needs a little more expertise, if you will,
I
to
think so.
address it a little bit. But if I could propose that we just do a poll on ranking these things, because I don't think we're gonna get any further with this right
No,
now.
no.
We're not, our goal here isn't to solve their problem. Our goal is to, like, what do we think of this as a capital request?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
So you're talking just on the sewer pipe?
So sewer pipe.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so are any As on the sewer pipe? Any Bs? Any Cs?
Uh,
No.
I think we'll.
Is there a D?
Okay.
There's
No, no Ds.
No, it sounds like it's a real issue. If they're having to clean it out once a year, then we need to explore it a little bit more, but,
It's good that departments are bringing these
Yeah,
things to
yeah.
light, and
Absolutely.
so that they can, you know, even a C can get on a plan,
Yeah.
and, you know, we'll show the townspeople, you know, these are all the requests we had, but we only had X amount of money to fund these projects, but, so these are still needs that we have to, you know, take care of at some point.
Can we reach out to Sharon and ask her to maybe look at getting a study done?
Sure, yeah, I will,
And then we can reassess it next
Sure.
year, see
Yep.
what it comes back at.
absolutely.
All right, so parking lot and fence, what's our thoughts on that?
So, on the fence aspect of it, I just wanna make this comment, I know this doesn't really have anything to do with what's before you, but, I was really, really excited. We just got in, bids for the roof project for the earmark down at the senior center. And, the bids came back a lot less than I expected them to come back. So, I checked with Representative Smola, and Representative Smola said that he worded the earmark for improvements to the senior center. So I'm hopeful that we can move the roof project along and get it done, within our time frame that we're looking to. And then we would have some additional funds left over from that project that we could potentially, at least, at the minimum, take care of the surveying work that needs to be done down there, and potentially, the entire fence.
Okay.
Because I think that definitely needs to be done, just to secure the whole property.
In my look at it today, there's no doubt that the wooden fence, as you're looking at the senior center from the main road, it's on the left side of the property, the west side of the property. That fence is certainly end of life or beyond, and it is only being supported by the metal posts that we're trying to help secure it. The fence along the back side of the property, so even if they only did one section of the fence, now I know if you're gonna do part of the fence, it'd be nice to make it all look nice and do it. But, yeah, the fence needs replacing. On the right side, it's a little bit of an other issue because there's nothing there, part of it, there's this old piece on another part of it. So if you want it fenced in, it needs to be done. It's not crucial that it be done immediately, though. I mean, it's still standing and it needs to be replaced, but it's not like a critical need. So, I guess I'm glad to hear what you just said, Jim, because maybe it can be taken care of and it could come off of our plate. So that's all I have to say, I guess.
Didn't you want to address the parking lot before you did the fence?
The fence, the parking lot is, well, that's a fair enough point. The fence is removed, there's enough of a berm around the parking lot before the fence that I think you could redo the complete parking lot if you were gonna keep those berms that are there. There's shrubbery and grassy areas from the curb of the parking lot to the fence. There's at least several feet, maybe as much as 4 feet. I'm trying to do it by recollection. So I think the parking lot and the fence could be done completely independently, in my opinion. Now, if you wanted the parking lot to go right to the fence, that'd be a little bit different matter, because you'd certainly want that integrated. But if you kept the existing parking lot footprint, the fence would be you could do the fence completely separately.
Because I'd hate to have a fence put up and do the parking lot after the fact and then damage the fence because of equipment in the parking lot.
I think there's enough of a buffer, a berm area that I think there's enough space that, unless you've got a really reckless paver, then the fence would be safe, yeah.
Okay.
Make sure you get your performance bond, right?
Yeah. All right, so, let's go from the top then. Oh, we already determined the sewer pipe, right?
5 Cs.
That's a C, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so fence? Any As? Any Bs? Any Cs?
Okay.
Parking lot? Any As?
I don't think that I can vote on the parking lot without knowing the information from the sewer, because we don't wanna do the parking lot
Okay.
if there is something that needs to get torn up for the sewer
Yeah.
pipe.
Yeah.
So I
Which is
don't,
kinda how we started this conversation.
right, so I don't feel,
You can't vote on the
Personally, I don't-
parking
I
lot
don't
before
think
you
that-
know what the issue is.
I don't wanna fund something that
Yeah.
Okay.
can't be done until we have answers on the sewer pipe.
I will also bring this to the attention of the committee. This location, the senior center, is CDBG eligible. So if there's any funds that haven't, are not needed on a project, if we have a surplus one year, we could reprogram funds, see if we can get them to reprogram funds and to address some of these issues, like parking lot, the sewer line, something to that nature. So, that's an opportunity.
And the sewer line, if we or CMRPC makes the case that it's health and human services kind of thing, right?
Sure,
Isn't that what it's called?
sure. Yeah.
We may be able to get that in the parking lot done in the regular grant cycle too,
Yeah.
and save our extra money.
Yep. I think that's a strong probability. But again, I think it's important that, whether or not Sharon, it gets funded through capital planning or CDBG, she's doing what the department has supposed to be, bringing these
Yeah.
to light, and then we can make recommendations. Sharon, maybe we can, have this go over to CDAC or CDBG and something like that. It's
Yeah.
on our radar.
Yes,
Right.
what's already been
Right.
done to that building, it's probably the best piece of real estate the town owns. I mean, with the interior and the beautiful work on the outside of the structure,
Yeah.
the roof,
And the new
it's all
HVAC.
money well spent, yeah, yeah,
It's gonna be really nice.
yeah.
Well-
As long as it's affordable.
So is the consensus to put these three just at a C level for now, until we have more info, or we look at more grant, more funding? Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, C's across the board then. Make it simple.
And I'll let you know, on how it pans out for the earmark, and,
Yeah, yeah.
there's a potential that,
Then we just do it, right?
that the fence could get done, and the survey could get done, and it could be gone.
Yeah.
Because, we're gonna have to spend down that earmark regardless,
Right, by June.
by June.
Yeah. Okay.
That's good.
We have
Ask-
wastewater.
Ask Sharon, though, to definitely look into getting an engineer to look at that. 'Cause
Sure.
maybe we could use, if it's a couple $1,000s to do a engineering thing, I don't know what it would cost,
Mhm.
but maybe we can include that too,
Okay, very good.
All right, sewer, we have, everything's from retained earnings, is that right?
Yes, it is. So I'm not sure if the committee wants to, have any type of say in it. I just put it in there. So, the committee may not want to weigh in on any of these, but.
I mean, I think it's, once again, we don't have the forms. I don't mean to be, but I don't know if he was intending for it to come through capital
I
planning.
don't think he was, I think, I just, wanted to kind of get your idea as to, if they're using their retained earnings, do you want to see them still, or do you?
Well, he's only gonna use about 100,000, a little over 100,000, right?
Right.
Which isn't bad. I was actually surprised they had retained earnings, right?
Well-
Because that's what we've been working on for
We
years
do,
now.
Yeah, so, don't forget, last year, and we got some gripe for it, we used some free cash money to
Yes,
help
we did.
them.
Yeah.
But the purpose of that was to them to build up some retained earnings, they increased some of their rates the last couple of years. They didn't hire, they had some vacancies that they were able to,
Like work around.
work through and,
Yeah.
and still be able to, have some savings there. So they've built up a little bit of some retained earnings.
Yeah, that's good.
That was my question, was, they're using 101,000 and change of their 418,000 of retained earnings. Not being familiar with operation of a sewer department, I don't know if that, so they're using a quarter of their retained earnings. I just don't know if that's prudent for them to do that or not, that is beyond the scope of this committee. But given that they're willing to do that, let me say something else. I appreciate that the request is coming our way, just so we have the awareness. I like that. The question is, should we give feedback that the town should use capital planning money towards their projects? And to that, if they're willing to use the retained earnings, I'd say no. I also just don't want to see them put themselves in a precarious financial situation. I don't think they would, but I'm not familiar enough with the financial management of a sewer department to speak to that.
Well, so I'll just pipe in that the first one's a study, the second one's 17,000, 18,000. And so the only one that would really be is number 3, the 47,000 for the pump impeller and bearing assembly. Right?
Yeah, and
So-
if them using their retained earnings is fiscally prudent, I don't have any other input other than thanks for letting us know and have a good year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wanted to put on the board, just to, you know, to let them know what they were planning on. But I do wanna let the board know, there are a ton of capital needs down there at this sewer
Yeah.
plant. And, you know, I think that this is a good start, but there's a lot more that needs to be done down there.
Okay. But the other thing is, they can't keep coming to us to pay for stuff. We gave them money last year, but there's plenty of people, Ray, who's not on sewer, who are gonna, after a while, they're gonna be like, wait a minute, this is too much.
Right.
You know, some money here and there is probably gonna be okay, but, you know, it's,
And they've got some,
not
you
gonna
know,
fly.
they've gotten some recent letters from the DEP on some compliance
Yeah, I know,
issues, so, you know, they're making some progress, and, you know, one of them was on copper reduction, and I understand that copper reduction is, they're having a lot of problems with reducing copper reduction, not just in our sewer plant, but in sewer plants around
oh,
the
okay,
area.
interesting.
You know, but, you know, they're still gonna be on our case to get some of these other matters addressed, PFAS, copper reduction, that stuff, but they're making some effort, which is good, and they're moving along, but there's a lot more that needs to be done down there. And there's a lot of things like with the, the chlorine system that they use down there is archaic, and it's not safe.
No, it isn't,
It's
yeah.
so, those things need to be looked at some point, but that project right there is probably $500,000,
Yeah.
you know.
So that's like a grant, or for a grant, or, you know, I don't know.
Or debt.
Yeah.
So I'd recommend that we don't include these 3 requests in our next version of our capital plan. And we give the feedback of appreciation to let us know about them, with a further request to let us know about some of these other things that you were referring to. The
Yeah.
chlorine treatments and that, and to let us know about them,
Mhm.
so we can
The bigger
perhaps
ones.
put them
Yeah,
on,
get a bigger
because we may
picture of it,
have to put
yeah.
some things on capital plan,
Yeah.
as much as we may not want to. And just because we put it on the plan doesn't mean we'll fund it, it just means that at least we
It's
can
there.
consider it.
Yeah,
And we can't consider things we don't know about.
right.
So if Jim,
Yes.
if you pass that on, our appreciation for
Sure.
letting us
Yeah.
know, but also to let us know all of the plans that they would like considered,
Okay.
so. And again, I offered that, I didn't wanna impose it. Is that okay that we pass on?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is everybody okay with that, or
Yeah.
does anybody wanna add something or subtract something? Okay. All right. Anything else on sewer?
Was there anything left over from last year?
So we had the copper reduction pump that we paid for, right?
Which ones did we hit?
That's all we had for sewer.
That's all we had for sewer? I thought we had like 3 requests
We had
for
a
sewer.
skunk pump
Yeah.
replacement.
There were a couple of things on there.
I don't know, that's, on this plan, that's all we have.
We had this scum pump replacement, which I think we funded.
Yeah.
Might be
The
up for
bar,
third.
the bar rack replacement, which we pushed to this year.
But, oh, the bar rack. How come that's,
And the truck.
And
Scroll up a little
they're,
bit.
they had told us that
There
they
we
need a
go.
new truck.
oh, here it is, okay. It was in two spots. Okay, so we funded the chlorine, we funded the pump, scum pump,
Yep.
so bar rack replacement
And
and
a
pump station truck.
I think the truck should definitely fall on them. I mean, that's their responsibility.
Operational, yeah.
Hmm.
That's my,
Okay, well, it was a C last year, so,
yeah,
I
I mean,
now
that's
that
my,
they have
that's my
some
opinion,
Retained earnings.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I feel like
Yeah,
Yeah,
DEP issues, the
Yeah,
town is probably gonna be on the hook for, so if we can help them out with those. But operationally, they should be, and I know it's hard to say, but they're an enterprise fund, they should be self-sufficient.
yeah.
Yep.
So I don't think the
But-
bar rack is
I'm trying to find that one.
an EPA thing. I think that just keeps,
That's part of the grit screw.
yeah, the grit screw, it
Yeah,
keeps
the
like
only
the
two
big
things that
stuff
were
out.
EPA was the chlorine and copper,
And I
Yeah,
think that's why we funded those, right?
yeah.
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 so, I mean, we could put zeros there. They didn't buy a truck, I mean, these aren't even on his requests.
No, and you know, I can have a conversation with Ralph about that.
I'd like to speak to that. I'd like to keep the numbers in there, but just maybe make them, just give them low priority.
Okay.
Because then we know,
Yeah, right.
this possibly could come back up and all of a sudden, if it was 20,000, yeah, but
Okay.
I know
I
25s
can
are
keep,
limited.
I can keep the estimated cost in there, but not fund it.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so
exactly.
column D,
Yeah,
you
keep the cost of it in
Oh, I
there,
see, my apologies, yes.
Yeah.
But just
I-
not,
I'm-
but
I'm-
don't put it in a funding schedule.
I'm looking at the
Yes.
fiscal year, things that we had done, yes.
yeah,
That makes,
Okay.
I get that.
So.
So blank it out, like we did with some of the other,
yeah.
So sewer.
All right. Oh, highway, oh, I guess that's it.
Are there any other changes to the spreadsheet that I need to make as far as removing any,
All right, let's see. So we
Um,
go to the top.
yeah, coming down from the top, I'll let you go, Rich.
Okay, so we have the cruiser replacements,
yeah.
computer replacements.
Just real quick.
That's all
on-
been updated. Anything that we've done this year, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's
Did-
done.
And so on the cruise replacements, did you use the new number?
I believe I did.
Okay,
I believe I did. I italicized, I should have sent it out, I apologize. I italicized anything that I changed, so if like a fiscal year changed or whatever.
okay.
And what I can do is I can send it out to the group, and then if you guys have changes, just
Yeah.
let me know
Okay.
if I missed anything or if something doesn't look right.
So police computer replacements is taken care of with the grant that we
No.
have. Oh, it's not?
Police is separate, they have their
They,
separate
they
computers.
have their own system, I think,
Bummer.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't get a new request this year, right?
Not yet, no,
Well, I mean, yeah.
It was
didn't-
on there last year.
Certainly didn't go
so-
away, so.
no.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so highway, we have the Ford F600, we have the Elgin sweeper, and then a Ford F350. Didn't Jeremy talk about one of those trucks in here?
The
Yeah,
F600,
the F600 was requested, but
but it's,
we're passing until we get more info.
Okay, all right. All right, that brings us to fire, which
I-
we've talked about. I mean, the hose and appliance, you probably pulled off, right?
I put as completed, yeah.
Yeah. Sewer, we
And
talked
I do
about.
wanna talk about the hose in an appliance replacement, because this is a good story to tell. So, we used some money, for that project, we used free cash last year to fund that project, thanks to the townspeople. But with Adam's, vision in applying for aggressiveness for a grant, we did receive a federal grant for the hose. So a majority of that, if not almost all of it, I would say, will be returned or repurposed for something else in the
So the
future.
110,000?
I believe 93,000.
About 93,000.
That's good.
And change, I believe, is what the grant was for.
Yeah, so, you know, there's gonna be a few things that he's still gonna need to be purchased through the article, but a majority of that money will be going back, so
Wow.
that's a win. And there's some other good stories in here too.
Okay.
You know, the computers, the senior center roof,
Yeah, I was
heating
gonna
and
say,
cooling,
yeah.
unit. So there's some other good stories there that we were able to offset with some grants too.
Okay. Right, so these two are gonna go away, heating and roof. We still gotta think about the repointing of this building. The computer updates, we don't need to worry about. Playground stabilization, oh, yeah, okay. Purchase, oh, that's the, purchase this train station.
So we're gonna take that off, correct? Because
Well, I don't, it's
I
kind
know
of.
that they passed over the article, and I didn't see it come back through again this year, but is that
Yeah, I
still
don't
on
know.
there?
What do you think is,
I mean, I don't know, I mean, I haven't gotten any requests from anybody,
yeah, I don't,
official requests.
I'm sure Sue's not gonna do it, I think. So,
So do we leave it on because it was last year, or do we, I mean, I didn't take anything off unless it was a completed project.
yeah,
And once again, we can leave it on there with no funding on it,
yeah. leave
because
it
we
on
did
there.
receive it as a request.
Sure,
Yeah.
And we haven't been officially told to take it off.
I'd agree with that. Any requests we get, leave them in there and just leave them, just like it is right now. It's, okay, there was the request, it could happen sometime in the future, but we haven't made any allocation towards an intention or an outright recommendation.
right,
So I'd say leave it in there until we know for sure it's either completed or no longer being considered.
Yeah.
or
I did
necessary.
put a column in there for fiscal year as well, like fiscal year requested, so we know
okay.
when the request
How
came
old it
through,
is.
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
all right. Glycol flushing, I think, was done, right?
No,
No.
that's at the school.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was
I have a
done.
0 in there anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did we ever end up getting something from the school?
No,
For-
for capital
for
requests,
capital.
no.
Oh, we
Yeah.
got nothing, okay.
As far as I know, these are all still considerations on the school committees, on their part. These are all still things that are being mentioned in meetings. And so I guess we would need to reach out to them to make formal requests, so,
Yeah, if they want them,
yeah.
then, yeah. All right, and then, senior center loading dock?
That's,
That's through
That can-
CDBG. who will-
Oh, we did that,
we're gonna take
yeah.
care
that's,
of
that
Okay.
that can go off, right?
Yeah, I'll probably sit with you, Jim, just to
Yeah,
make sure
maybe
that,
next week we'll go over that, yeah.
okay,
Okay.
make sure that I have everything off of there that's been completed with other funds, okay.
Oh, so last year, they did bring up the sewer pipe, I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any
We
figures.
we didn't have
We
any,
didn't have
yeah,
any
we didn't have
figures.
any details at all,
Yeah.
let alone,
Yeah.
yeah, so at least this year we had an estimate given.
Okay,
All right,
All right.
so what else is on the agenda? Oh, that's-
I can get you the tallies. You know, the ABCs,
Okay,
so,
all right.
because, do you wanna,
Yeah, I didn't know if we wanted to actually like define, like next meeting, define exactly where they
Okay.
fall within the A, Bs, and Cs.
Right, right.
Like, if everybody
yeah,
can,
probably, yeah.
can do that in the next week,
Okay.
and then we'll take a final.
All right. Okay, so we pretty much, well, updates in progress on the plan, discussion, we had our discussion. I don't know that we're ready to vote on anything yet. And then the next meeting is gonna be what? What's everybody, let's see. Oh, we have an executive session next Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
At what time?
11 in the morning.
11 in the morning, really?
That's what I think Karen was trying to pull the board.
I'm going to training all next Thursday.
For police?
Yeah.
I have VADAR training, or user group, whatever.
How come we didn't just do it in the afternoon?
Because police negotiations, we're gonna meet at 1, so I was trying to see if we could potentially meet before.
Oh, I see, okay.
I'm going, away on Thursday for training meeting.
Okay. Do you wanna do, it looks like maybe Wednesday, the April 2nd? Same time, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock?
That's the date I think Jeremy's gonna be back. So I don't know
Yeah.
if we'll have enough time to come to the next meeting. Do you have any time on either the 7th or 8th?
I could do either of those, anybody? Wanna go with the 7th
Can't do afternoon on the 7th.
or the 8th?
8th, I am free.
Okay, so the,
If we could meet, we like, finance will likely meet on the 8th at 3. That's our standard time, is Tuesday at 3 o'clock.
oh, okay.
We don't have a meeting scheduled right now, but that'll be, finance has gotta wrap things up by the 8th. That's not a super hard requirement, but it's next to that.
Yeah,
Cause we're meeting with selectmen on the 12th,
right, okay.
so.
And you can't do the 7th?
I can probably do the 7th in the morning. That's payroll day, and I have to be out on
Okay.
time. Yeah, so I can't do the afternoon at all on the 7th.
How about the 8th?
Like 2 o'clock?
The 8th, I don't have anything, so I can meet during the day.
Yeah, cause
Everybody
cause
else-
finance can push our meeting till 3:30 if we need.
Okay. Are you good with that?
The 8th is fine.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Okay.
April 8th,
Tuesday. Yeah, okay.
we're gonna do, what do we say, 2 PM, right?
Will
2
that give you
PM.
enough time
Yeah.
to get to FinCom?
Yeah, we can, the FinCom meeting's not scheduled, so we can push it till 3:30 or even 4 o'clock.
Okay. So Tuesday, the 8th at 2 PM.
And the only person we need to see right now is Jeremy, right?
Okay, I'll let them know.
Is
With,
that-
with a request to Parks for
With a-
more
more
info,
information.
more intentionality.
Yep.
Okay,
And they'll give both departments time to get that information, I guess, to you in the format that you'd like.
Yep.
okay.
Do we want to, like, at the next meeting, do we want to have everybody, like, with their numbers, like, the scale?
Right.
So we know where within the A, Bs, and Cs they fall? Have everybody do that so that I can just plug it in? Or if everybody emails me what they want, or we can discuss it?
Wait, so you want us to do our ratings, or
Yeah,
is that, okay, so when can
Right.
you send us a sheet? Because we need a sheet.
it's all done, I can send it out, I can pop in my
Okay.
office and send it out today.
And we have like a week and a half, you know, so yeah. So you're gonna send out an updated sheet,
Mhm.
and then we all go through our ratings. Okay,
Yeah, I
And
can have
then
it
come
to
back with-
Monday at the latest, is that okay if I?
Oh,
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
That way I can make
Yeah.
these changes as well.
okay,
Yep.
Tomorrow, I don't know if I'll get to it today or not, but tomorrow I'll send out a summary of what we all said. 5 As, 3 As, 2 Bs.
Yeah.
I'll send that summary out just to remind us where we're at with it.
okay, good.
So I know it took a little while, but it's not as bad as last year. There's,
Well, we have a plan.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
It's just now plugging in extra requests, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we're way more organized now than, you know.
what, just a question, what's in our capital reserve account right now?
A little over 800,000 in capital stabilization, and then
Okay, capital stabilization,
in free cash, we have a little over 500,000.
okay.
That's true. Rob, what?
Putting more money away.
All right,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's
Aye,
good.
it's unanimous.